Sam Darnold to the Chicago Bears. How likely is it? What is going on, y'all? Faiz Sports Talk back at it with another video talking, of course, some NFL here to talk about the Chicago Bears. So if you're a Bears fan and you are not subscribed, I don't know why you're not, but you need to go ahead and do so right now because I do talk a lot of Bears on the channel. Make sure you're following me on all my social media platforms. Links, as always, down below for that. And please make sure to hit the bell icon so you're notified every time I drop a new video. So with that being said, let's get into it. All right, let's hop on the quarterback carousel for the Chicago Bears and talk about another guy that's been mentioned with the Chicago Bears, which is Sam Darnold. Now, I've talked about Sam Darnold in other videos, but not a video completely dedicated to talking about him, which is what I'm going to do right now. So the Sam Darnold talks to the Bears have been really heating up, right? Like all the sports shows are not talking about it. Get Up, ESPN, First Take, etc. So now it's picking up steam. And so I'm thinking, oh, why is it picking up steam? Well, let's talk about that. So we've started from, the Deshaun Watson trade rumors, and it was the Derek Carr trade rumors, then we had the Carson Wentz trade rumors, and now it's the Sam Darnold trade rumors. And I believe the reason why is because there are more people that are coming to the realization that Deshaun Watson to the Bears is going to be a very difficult proposition to happen. And so they all know the Bears are still going to be in the market for a quarterback, but now with Stafford done, as in he's off the market, he's with the Rams, Carson Wentz off the market, he's with the Colts, although I didn't want him, and Deshaun Watson being not that much of a likelihood, mainly because Chicago doesn't have the assets that a team like the Jets or the Dolphins do. People are, I guess, realizing that, okay, who else is left out there that we can actually link to the Bears? And Sam Darnold is a name that comes up for two reasons mainly. Number one, the Jets are absolutely going to move off Sam Darnold. And how do I know that? Because if they get Deshaun Watson, they're moving off Sam Darnold. And if they don't get Deshaun Watson, they're drafting a quarterback, most likely Zach Wilson, maybe a Justin Fields. So in both scenarios, they're moving off Sam Darnold. And Sam Darnold was not the quarterback picked by the new regime that they have now, obviously Robert Saleh and the new staff there. So they're going to want a fresh start. They're going to want their own quarterback. I don't blame them, although I think Sam Darnold's been dealt a very bad hand, but they are going to move on from him, right? So that's reason number one, because the Jets are going to move on from him. And reason number two, I believe, is compensation. I think Sam Darnold is going to be very attainable, right? These other guys we talk about, Deshaun Watson is going to cost you everything. He's going to cost you multiple first-round picks, multiple second-round picks, young star players. Derek Carr could cost you multiple first-round picks. There's guys out there that if you want them, they're going to cost a pretty penny. Sam Darnold, he might not cost much. He might not cost anything. So the going rate that I've been hearing about for Sam Darnold, and I'll talk about whether he makes sense for the Bears in just a second here, but in terms of the going rate for Sam Darnold, I'm hearing, at highest, a second-round pick, and at the lowest, we're thinking a third to a fifth-round pick, right, for Sam Darnold. And it makes sense, right? He has not produced much, but again, he has been dealt in a very bad hand in terms of the pieces put around him. So let's talk about now, does Sam Darnold make sense for the Chicago Bears? All right, so does Sam Darnold make sense for the Bears? Yes, but does it do anything? Probably not. And here's what I mean by that, okay? Does he make sense for the Bears? Yes, he does, and there's only really one reason why. Okay, and it's not because we need a quarterback. Duh, that's implied. But the reason is because he still has a year left on his rookie deal. That's the only reason I believe Sam Darnold makes sense for the Bears, because Sam Darnold won't cost you anything in terms of the contract you have to pay him. He's still on his rookie deal, and it's essentially a trial run, right? You go ahead and you get him, and essentially you have a year before you have to do anything with him. You don't have to pay him or anything. So he's still on his rookie deal, which helps a lot. All right, so you're not overpaying for a guy on a fat contract that might not be worth it. So Sam Darnold makes sense in that aspect. The other reason is, again, I've spoke about this. The Jets did not surround Sam Darnold with anything. Sam Darnold was a top 5 quarterback selection And the Jets literally put garbage around him. Like no receivers, no tight ends, no protection, no defense. Like Adam Gase continually put Sam Darnold in the worst positions possible. And even, if you take the most talented quarterback, like take Deshaun Watson, for example, even though he is still able to put up numbers, the team doesn't win many games because, again, of how poor the support is around Deshaun. So in the same situation, the Jets, the first 3/4 of the season last year, they were a laughingstock before they picked up those 2 wins, I think, against like the Rams and another team. I can't remember right now. But the Jets were a laughingstock last season. So Sam Darnold, again, has been put in a very, very bad situation. So you bring him to the Bears, and he gets surrounded by a very good defense, decent receiving options, certainly better than the Jets, a solid running game with David Montgomery. And now you can see that, hey, maybe this guy can thrive in a different environment that, we're able to put some help around him. And so that comes to mind here. So, yes, Sam Darnold to the Bears makes sense. I don't hate this. I hated the Carson Wentz rumor. I hated the fit there. I don't think Sam Darnold is broken. I just think Sam Darnold was put in a very bad system. So I am not against Sam Darnold coming to the Bears. Here's the second part of this. Does it do anything? Probably not. And here's what I'm saying when I mean does it do anything in terms of Nagy and Pace, right? Nagy and Pace, being able to get Sam Darnold isn't going to save their jobs. And that might be a good thing for, obviously, Bears fans because we want him gone. But Sam Darnold might not really move the needle, right? Nobody really probably moves the needle besides Deshaun and Dak if we're able to get him, and maybe Derek Carr. But after that, Sam Darnold would be your consolation prize. So I'm cautiously maybe optimistic, but also realistic about it. That, again, he's young enough where he still has potential. And, I don't think his career's set. Again, the Jets just put him in such a bad spot. They literally set him up to fail. And that's the thing. If I trusted our coaching staff, which I don't, with Matt Nagy developing any quarterback, I would tell you I would have faith in us getting Sam Darnold. But again, Matt Nagy's showing you he can't develop anything. If he couldn't develop Mitchell Trubisky, what makes you think he'll develop Sam Darnold? So Sam Darnold we can acquire, and he would be an improvement over what, he had with the Jets. But really, that's not saying much because the Jets were a dumpster fire. So, yeah, Sam Darnold to the Bears makes sense. I like it. The compensation wouldn't be much at all. We could get him for the cheap. Would it move the needle? Would it do anything for the Bears in terms of, the big picture for next year? And if we're only talking about next year because Pace and Nagy are only here for next year, really doesn't do much. He really doesn't move the needle. But again, slim pickings out there once you get past Deshaun Watson. So there you have it, folks. My thoughts on Sam Darnold to the Chicago Bears. Let me know what you guys think about it. Leave a comment down below if you agree with me, disagree. As always, thanks for watching.